Hey there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and a new card making video. Today I am making two cards for you. One is like easy, quick, and fun, and the other one is stepped up, but using some of the same products and ideas and just making it a little bit more special. So let's start with card number one, and we're going to do some ink blending. So I wanted to show you these brand new ink blending brushes from the Trinity Stamps shop. They have that short fat handle. They've got a wide brush on the end that's domed. It's really super soft and has a clever way to indicate what color you're going to have this brush be dedicated for. And that is by inserting a string. Now you want to twist your little blending brush when you put it back in the cap so the bristles don't get caught up on the edge. So I've taken a piece of string here and colored it purple with a Copic marker. And then I'm going to tie that through this little hole on the top of the blending brush, and that's going to indicate that this brush is for purple. So stay tuned, because in a minute I'm going to show you an even better thing I found to tie on to that. Okay, let's get started on the ink blending for the background on card number one. This is a very light purple ink, Wisteria from Altenew, and I'm blending that on about a third of this panel. And then I can go onto my medium toned color and blend that with the same brush without having to clean it off, and go right up the middle of this panel. Now I am using Bristol smooth cardstock because I love smooth cardstock for ink blending. It just makes it that much easier, and you'll see a difference between the background on my next card and this one on how much smoother it is to blend. Okay, so here's that other thing I found. It's white stretchy cord, and it is not going to fray like my string is, so that's a good thing to use on these blending brushes. Okay, now let's check out this die. This is the Haunted House cutout die. It comes just by itself, and it creates a really cool window into your card. So I'm cutting this from some glitter cardstock, black glitter, because it makes me so happy. And then I have this little house cut into my card panel front. So I'm just poking out those little windows because they are tiny little pieces, so they just need a little help on this glitter paper to fall out. Okay, so there you can see what it looks like over the top of my ink blended background, but you could paper piece this if you didn't want your ink blending to show all the way around the house and through the windows, like you wanted yellow windows. You could paper piece something different around the house. Okay, I have this new cut and foil set from Trinity Stamps called Spooky. Of course, there's a plate to hot foil, there is a die to cut out the scripty word, and there is a frame die that you can use two ways, and I'm going to show you all the ways throughout both of today's cards. So I'm going to hot foil first with my black foil pretty side up on my green cardstock, and my plate is face down. I'm going to put that whole thing face down onto my preheated Glimmer hot foil system, and then press the timer. When the timer goes off, I remove that entire platform, run it through my die machine. The heat and the pressure are going to transfer that foil onto my cardstock, and it's just magical every time. I love it, and I love the black on that bright green. Oh, it's going to look so good on my card. So here is that frame die. It's going to cut out my hot foiled sentiment, but it's also a shadow layer if you use the die cut word. So I'll show you that one on card number two. Before I put everything together, I decided I needed a little splatter on my background, so I took some picket fence distress paint and splattered that on for a very subtle kind of starry look. I'll let that dry. Well, I got all these foam squares onto my background. Now you could make this a shaker card, but I just wanted a little bit of lift off of my background. And then I can glue on my sentiment, which, by the way, this is the new glue from Trinity Stamps, the crafty glue friend. And it is working so good. I will show you here gluing on paper and some embellishments too, so you can check out how this glue works. It goes on white and does dry clear. So we have some new embellishments. This is the graveyard mix. It has little tombstones, little bats, and like some Frankenstein faces. So I'm going to put some of those little tombstones right next to the house. I thought that was a fun little addition. I love embellishments on my card, and it's a really easy way to take a simple card up a notch. You can make simple cards that still have like a wow factor to them. So this glue is going to hold these on the glitter paper, which, you know, clay on glitter paper, you want to make sure you have a good adhesive. There's also, like I said, tiny little bats in the set, so I thought I'd go ahead and put some of those around the house and see how the glue holds up over my ink blending as well. So yeah, more bats the better. We have bats around where I live, and it doesn't make me upset at all because they eat mosquitoes, and I love that. Okay, now we have our Boo Crew embellishments. These also have bats in them, but I really wanted the little ghosts. I'm going to put those on the black part of my card so they really pop, and I think it's just really cute with all the fun embellishments. So now it's time to add this to our card base, which is a 5x5 card, but there's a close-up look at what the glue looks like wet. So when I glue this down, you'll see I have a nice big border all the way around. I love that matte finish of the black cardstock against that shiny finish of the glitter paper. And now here is what the glue looks like all dry. You can see that it indeed did dry clear. So very good. I'm loving this new glue. And I love it's in a pretty big tube. So let's move on to card number 2. We're going to step things up a little bit, but still use some of the same ideas. But I'm bringing in another new die set from Trinity Stamps. This is the Slimline Spooky Scene Builder. So you have all these different things you can add to pretty much like any of your Halloween things, but I love these trees. They are so big. So I want to make a little bit more intricate scene with that same haunted house die and kind of make it look like the house is up on a hill. And so I'm going to have these trees be in the foreground. And by the way, I don't actually end up using the owl, but I did die cut some tombstones just like we had on the first card and a little like ground to stick them in. I've laid everything out onto this black textured cardstock and figuring out where I want my little house up on the hill to be, and then I can tape that in place and die cut it out, and you can see the textured paper looks really good on that little house. I love it. For the background on this one, I'm doing some ink blending with some bright green inks. Bamboo, olive is my darkest color, and then I will do parrot ink right up the middle. And you can see like this is a little bit more blotchy. Now once it dries and settles in the paper, it doesn't look that bad, and it's going to be behind that house, but the Bristol smooth paper was much better. I am going to splatter this one with some Distress Mica stain from Ranger, and I just think it is so shimmery and cool on this background. So not as subtle as the first one, but still we've got some amazing splatter. Okay, now I just need to figure out where I'm going to glue that down. Do I want the dark part at the bottom or the dark part at the top? And once I figured that out, then I went ahead and glued it down, and I have my dark part at the bottom. I'm going to let that sit because the mica takes a little bit of time to dry, and I want to build up some scene on top of my house. So I have these clouds from the Nightscape scene builder, also from Trinity. This is a release from last year, but it has these really super cool clouds. I cut them from vellum, and I'm trying out the glue on vellum. I put a few dots on there, just strategically placed, not over the whole thing, and then I just kind of press out the dots with my finger. And the way my card is going to be made, you're not really going to see where it was glued down. So I wanted my trees popped up, but they're pretty intricate and you have to be careful with those trees. And so I cut some extra trees out from black fun foam. By the way, this one did happen to have some adhesive on the back, which was really helpful. But I need to glue my trees down to it. Now, the one way around this to have black glittered trees or whatever is to get the fun foam, glittered fun foam from Spellbinders. Now, it just so happens that they're currently out of stock on the black, but I'm going to go ahead and link it for you below because when you go to their shop, you can put in your email and they'll let you know when it's back in stock because I think I need some. After making these, gluing glitter paper to fun foam with those intricate little branches, I mean, it worked out, but you know, it would be easier to not glue it, right? So once the glue had dried, I peeled the backing off of that foam and stuck it down to my card, and I'm loving this layered look. I love the trees popped up, and it still was easier than trying to cut up little pieces of foam squares. So now let's move on to my little hill, and I'm putting that down with foam squares and the little tombstones as well. You know, we had tombstones on the last one, so we got to have them on this card, right? So I have them tucked in the little hill, and then I can go ahead and stick this down. I have all, well, most of the things I want on this card are mounted, enough to go ahead and stick it down with some foam tape. Now I wanted some Crypt Grip Paste that came out last year on my tombstones. It is dried up, even though I used press and seal on it. I'm so sad, but I did use a lot of it, so I don't feel too bad. But I just brought out my regular grip paste. This is translucent, so you can see it looks like a little white as it goes on, but also you can kind of see the gray coming through. So when that dries, you're going to be able to see the gray a lot better. And this just grunges them up a little bit and makes them look old. And I didn't care if the paste was on there perfect or completely smooth. Like, it's already gripped, right? So having the texture on there, I love. So we'll let that dry and work on our sentiment. So this is the Fun Foam from Spellbinders. I do have the purple. It's nice and thin, so it's really easy to die cut with your wafer thin dies. And it does not shed. I checked, I rubbed it pretty good. And now I'm adding to that the die cut from black, and you can see how that shadow die works as a shadow for the die cut word spooky, but it also worked for die cutting out the hot foiled spooky. So pretty cool set you have here, and a few different ways you can use it. But I think the black on top of that glitter looks so cool, and that's going to make a really nice sentiment. So you can see I'm repeating the colors on this card, purple and green, like I had on my other card, but switching them up. I am using the little black crow to stand down here by those tombstones, which are dry. And then I wanted some bats and ghosts, but I wanted to do something different. So I'm bringing out another new set. This is the Haunted Hill die set. Another house, but way bigger. It's got trees. It's got these teeny tiny little bats, a tiny little ghost, a tiny cat. So I did a white ghost from white glitter paper and some purple bats. So they would really pop off of this black background, and just repeat the use of that purple in my card, even if it's kind of a different shade of purple, right? I needed to trim the trees off because they extended over the top of the tree. And on the inside, I did glue some colored cardstock layers, so it's easier to write, but you could leave it black and then you could use a gel pen, which would look really cool on a Halloween card. But those are my two cards. You can see this one's very much stepped up from the first one with the clouds and lots of additional layers. We've got grip paste, we've got vellum. It's just a lot of fun. And still pretty easy to make, but you know, just adding to that original idea, using some of the same products, it makes it a lot easier than kind of starting with a whole new idea. And it's really fun also to see the different kinds of things you can do with one little die, that haunted house cutout die. And it's a really good die because it does make quick and easy cards, but see, you can step it up a little bit and have some fun. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I love sharing my creations with you so much. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it, and if you're new here, I would love for you to consider subscribing. I have new videos all the time. I will see you all again very soon on the next video. Happy stamping! Bye!